Now that we have installed the ProX 70200 on our burner, we will now review the programming of the unit. The state-of-the-art control is universal and pre-programmed out of the box to fit most oil burners. For custom applications, we will review the simple and easy programming in this video. The ProX has 11 programmable features that we will review. A chart of these features can be found in the installation and operation manual. You will note the default settings are shaded. Programming the ProX primary control. To enter the programming mode, simultaneously press and hold the up and forward arrow buttons for 3 seconds. Once you're in the programming mode, the display will show on-screen instructions on how to exit the program mode. To view the current settings, once in programming mode, use the forward arrow / enter button to scroll through all the options. The control will display the current setting for each option. To change the settings, press the forward arrow button to select the desired option, then use the up or down buttons to scroll through the available settings. Select the desired setting and press the enter button. The ProX 70200 comes pre-programmed with settings to accommodate most burners with an oil solenoid valve. Using the play bar below, fast forward to the section on the header above that interests you. The valve delay on setting refers to the time period the motor and igniter are on prior to trial for ignition. Some people refer to this as pre-purge. The default setting is 30 seconds. The trial for ignition, referred to as TFI, or the safety timing, is the burner flame establishing period. The default setting is 15 seconds. Do not use 45-second trial for ignition for oil burners with a firing rate of 3 gallons per hour or greater. Motor delay off. This is the time period the motor is on after the call for heat is satisfied to allow for the evacuation of combustion gases in the combustion chamber. Some refer to this as post-purge. Motor delay off is factory default to 30 seconds. Programmable motor delay off is very useful when replacing primaries on direct vent applications that most often have extended post-purge cycles. Flame stabilization is the time period after TFI that the igniter remains on. Here you can add additional spark time. Pretty useful if you have a cold oil situation with an outside oil tank. Additional spark time will help with the flame retention at startup and prevent nuisance shutdowns. It's important to note that this is not an extension of TFI. You're only adding more time to the igniter cycle. Next we have ignition type. There are 2 options: interrupted duty and smart intermittent. In interrupted duty mode, the spark is turned off after TFI or flame stabilization. For smart intermittent, in the event that the flame is lost at any time after the trial for ignition period, the control will immediately shut down and recycle within 60 seconds. Following this recycle, the control will operate in intermittent duty, constant ignition, for 10 cycles. The factory default for ignition type is interrupted. The next programmable feature is TT jumpered, which allows T1 and T2 to be jumpered by the software program without a physical jumper. The default for this option is set to no. Next is the vent input option. This is used to detect a block vent. When selected, if power is not detected at the vent in terminal for 30 seconds at any time after trial for ignition, the control will lock out. The default setting is not used. If you are not using this feature, press enter. Following that is the allowed recycles. This is the number of recycles allowed during any single call for heat prior to lockout. A recycle is defined as a shutdown when the flame signal is lost during the run cycle only and not during the trial for ignition cycle. In recycle, the unit will shut the burner down and after a brief pause for 60 seconds, the ProX will recycle and attempt to reestablish a flame. The default allowed recycles is set at 3. Press Enter to advance. The baseline reset option allows you to reset the baseline statistics used by the fault history. Normally, you would only reset the fault history if you were transferring the primary to another burner or if you wanted to collect fresh data. The factory defaults option is set to no. If you wanted to revert back to the original programming, you can set this to yes. However, if I did that right now, I would restore all settings back to the defaults and I would lose all changes that were made. The next screen is the exit screen. Follow the instructions to exit. Press and hold the escape button for 3 seconds. The screen will return to its previous mode, in this case, standby. All changes were saved at the time they were made after pressing the enter button. You may exit the setup mode at any time without losing your changes. Let's proceed now to the next chapter.